Rufus Henry Hobbs. February the 26th, 1917. Ward 7, Washita Parish, Okaloosa Community. My mother's name was Lena Mae Frith Hobbs. My daddy's name was Isaac Henry Hobbs. I remember my grandfather, yeah, one on my daddy's side, yeah, Silas. Farming, he was a farmer. That was about all there was to do then. She was a housewife and a mother. Mother came from Alabama, and her family, and my father's family came from Georgia. And then they were immigrated from, my dad immigrated from England. And my father, I don't know where he immigrated from. I mean my mother's family. They were hardworking, they were Christians. Finished high school and went one semester in Louisiana Tech. Latin and mathematics, yeah. Fishing and hunting, yeah. Mm-hmm. And aggravating somebody. I had 5 sisters and 3 brothers. Only 2 of them died when they were young. I was the youngest boy, yeah, number 4. Oh yeah, when we had a chance, yeah. My daddy used to make us sit around the fireplace and read the Bible, you know. Which at the time we resented. We went to church, you know. When we all went in the wagon, yeah. And they'd be around the church, there'd be 15, 20 wagons. Everybody went in the wagon. Cows, chickens, hogs, and horses. If I had the money when I come out of service, that's what I'd have done for a living, was farm. But I had to do something else. Okaloosa. No, there was about 5 or 6 rooms there then, yeah. Mostly work, yeah. And a little play. We all had to create our own entertainment back then. We usually had somebody in the community that played music, yeah.
You did?
We'd all, I didn't play nothing, huh? I played on the floor, yeah. Well, we got a few apples and oranges and peanuts and pecans and stuff like that. No toys. We made our own toys. Yeah, we'd go to church and get out and kick up a party, you know, in the neighborhood. Might walk 5 or 6 miles to get enough people to come have one, yeah. And we had one radio in the community, so we'd all go, everybody go to that one house and listen to the radio sometime. Listen to old Dempsey and Joe Lewis fights, you know. My mother and my father and 5 girls and two boys, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I had the grandfather that stayed with us some, yeah. We was going to get a Christmas tree.
It was close to Christmas time, and you know Ms. Nealon that used to go to First Baptist Church, any of you? We lived in her boarding house, and she wanted us to go and get a Christmas tree. So his brother and this friend of mine, we went out in the piney woods and found a Christmas tree. And from there, we just First time we'd ever talked, we just kept talking.
Couldn't get rid of her.
That was it. That was true.
In Delhi, her family's home.
Yeah, with my parents. Had probably about 20 people, and it was in our living room, of course, and a favorite minister of mine married us, and it was we had a short wedding, but then we had cake and punch after that. 3, Jerry and Larry and Shirley.
One of them lives here.
Yeah.
2 of them live in Georgia, and one of them lives in Tennessee. One in 903 South Grand, yeah, upstairs.
We lived there the first year we were married, and then we moved to West Monroe. He built us a house in South West Monroe.
Down on Browning Street, you might know where that is. I worked for United Gas Corporation in Monroe. Yeah.
That was after the war years.
I went to service in 1941. I think I was 23. Yeah. I went to infantry, 45th Infantry Division. CC camp, yeah.
Tell me about CC.
Conservation Corps Corporation, yeah. When that was Depression days, it paid $30 a month. I got $5, they sent $30, $25 home, and that was theirs. And we stayed there was about 150 people in each camp. And there was 3 here in Louisiana. One at Calhoun, one at Chatham, one at Bastrop. I was at Calhoun, and I spent 6 months up there. That's when I attended Louisiana Tech. That semester, they drove a truck up there, and we could go to college free, you know. So then 6 months, and they moved us to California. So that ended my college career. So we spent 6 months in California, and then they discharged me, and I came back home. My first car, 36 Ford. Yeah. I bought it in
Before you went to the
yeah,
Army.
before I went to the Army, 1941. Yeah, 36 Ford. And I left it sitting on the street in Shreveport when we drilled a well in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and I'd had to leave my car in Shreveport and drive an old white truck with a load of water pump on it, 30-side water pump on it, and we started drilling a well over there. Then the boss brought us our papers to report to the Army. So the 4 of us, we come out of the hole, shut her down, and went home. And 4 days, and I was in the Army, and I just left my old car sitting over there on the street, but I don't ever know what happened to it yet.
Who cares? Who cares?
You never did find that car.
No, I never did look for it. I just bought another one. Macon, Georgia. Macon, Georgia. Camp Wheeler, Georgia. First went to Camp Wheeler, Georgia. Beauregard, and we stayed there a couple of weeks in Camp Wheeler, Georgia. Took our basic training, and they signed us to the 45th Infantry Division in Fort Devens, Massachusetts. A camp in Watertown, New York. And we spent the winter there where it was 50 below zero. And the river was froze over.
I imagine.
And we moved back they sent us back to Virginia, I believe in April. And we were getting ready to go overseas. And we went on maneuvers there for about 2 weeks down in the mountains. And then we loaded on ship and went to Norfolk, Virginia. And we got off the ship in Iran and North Africa. And from there we invaded Sicily. If there's where I could see them, I had to shoot at them, yeah. Had to protect myself, you know. Yeah. Well, was the president. Yeah, he was commander in chief. Yeah.
In 3 battles.
Oh, I was in lots of battles. Oh, yeah, I was a scout leading in. I led the platoon into battle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I was about 150 yards ahead of everybody else, and we were closing in to take care of a counterattack. They would try to come back and take the airport, you know. So I saw a tank coming, and I hollered and notified my people back there. And they had 5 guys behind the tank, you know, to direct fire for the tank. And I'd taken cover between the fork of 2 trees at the ground, and I picked off the 5 people. I shot them and disabled them. I don't know whether they killed them or not. And then this tank moved over about 20 feet in front of me, and I was looking down the barrel of that 88 millimeter gun. And then the fellow got out of the tank, and he walked out away from the tank, I guess to draw fire, and he turned around and come back my way, and so I had to take care of him, you know. And I knew I had to take care of him for good, because if I didn't, they'd get me. One guy was from New York. His name was, I didn't think of his name.
Keep talking, you a second.
He was a Jew. And he didn't.
Some tricks on him.
He was didn't believe in Christ. You know, he was an atheist. He claimed. Well, the first artillery runs we had, I saw him sitting there on his knees. And I asked him, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm talking to somebody." I did in my growing up, you know. They called me Chicken.
You was in a program at
I was
school
in
about
the
that, didn't you?
I was in the program one time, and I had to crow like a rooster. They started out calling me Rooster, you know, and wound up Chicken.
Okay.
Shoot this guy, this one guy. We were crying. Did you ever hear Mount Etna in Sicily?
No, sir.
Well, that's the highest mountain in Sicily. It had a volcano right at the top of it. But we were chasing the Heinies, the Germans.
Okay.
And we had just taken Palermo in Sicily. And we were about halfway up that mountain. And the Germans were dropping bombs in the volcano, you know, to agitate it, get it eruption. And we all gave out, so we're just before daybreak, and we're taking a break and lay down to rest a little bit. One 88 millimeter shell from a tank hit my corporal, direct hit on him. It blew him to millions of pieces. And I got injured there. And they had stopped my bleeding. And the poor fella, he tied my tourniquet, you know, and tied me to a little old bush there. And the injury that I received, it paralyzed my leg, and I couldn't use it, and I couldn't move. So I couldn't go anywhere. And I lay there, I guess, for about 6 hours before they picked me up. And went on to the hospital, and they did surgery on me, taking all my clothes off of me. All I had on was a cast. Then they flew us out of Sicily, and then we landed in Cairo, Egypt. And they set us out on the ground on stretchers, 130-degree weather. And they served us ice cold lemonade out of an empty jar.
But he was shot in the femur part of his left leg.
Had a piece of shrapnel went through my leg, my foot, down it just below my toe, and the other side come out over on the other side of my shoe here, about the side of a 10-penny nail. And they had to cut the shoe off, put me to sleep and cut the shoe off when they operated on me to get off and get my shoe off. They had to cut it out and then took that thing out and stuffed it full of Vaseline gauze, and they cut a hole in my leg about that big and stuffed it with Vaseline gauze and put a cast on me. And that stayed on for 6 weeks. And I kept itching, you know, and I'd bump that thing, those maggots would fall out of it.
In the foot.
Yeah.
That's how they cleared it.
They said that's what taking care of the flesh in there, yeah. And then I was out, I stayed in the hospital about 5 months. Well, it was in a tent in the edge of that desert, 130 degrees. Night it'd get down to about 50. And I didn't get any clothes till I stayed. The blanket was all I had to cover my body for, I guess, about till they took that cast off, yeah. They loaded us in a cattle car that they drove and carried us through that desert, put us in a hospital in Casablanca. So I've been to Casablanca. Well, I spent, I guess, 2 or 3 months there. And they decided they did need people to back in the service and need replacements, you know. So they sent me back up front again. And I went to Italy and waiting there we were tied down in the Battle of Messina front, a river. There we couldn't cross. There's too many people that are getting killed, so they pulled us out and we made the invasion of the island of Anzio. But we went from there into, didn't meet in that resistance period, and dug inside of Rome. Well, Hitler pulled 2 or 3 panzer divisions out of southern France and turned them on us, and the battle lasted about 10 days. And we lost about 10,000 people, and they lost about 30,000. And we stayed there from then till the 25th day of May. And we couldn't get up out of our hold hardly. And we had to do it at night, even to go anywhere. And we broke out there in May about May the 20th, something like that. And I had to leave in just south of Rome. And the rest of them went on one of the bloodiest battles we had in the war. But you don't see nothing about that in history. We had, in the company we had 206 people. That was full the number of people you needed. And after the battle, there was 18 men left in my company, yeah. Well, Hitler and Mussolini and the men in England and Roosevelt, they met on the island of Malta before all this taking place, you know. And they had a deal that they would not destroy Rome, would not bother Rome. So they just walked through Rome, you know, and Hitler come through Rome down to meet us. And they had an old abbey sitting out on the top of a mountain that they was looking down our throats there. When we had to pull out and go to invade the island of Anzio to cut off the supply lines, and they was using that old abbey up there on top of the mountain to shell us, you know, where we couldn't do anything. So they decided they'd do away with it. So they turned loose 300 P-17s, and they destroyed that thing. But now, I'll tell you about Hitler's. He had a gun mounted on 2 flat cars just out of Rome in a tunnel, and he'd run that thing out, and it shot a projectile. It weighed 2,000 pounds, and it would hit anywhere on the Anzio beach there where we were. And it had a booster on it, and it'd go off before it got there. It hit the ground. It was a delayed action, and it'd go in the ground about 10 to 20 feet, and then it exploded. It just turned the earth wrong side out. Of course, the only thing we saw that they did damage was they sunk 1 ship with it. But now Hitler was trying to get into the Suez Canal and capture the oil, Saudi Arabia and all the oil territory down there. And Montgomery, a British general, you heard of him. And the Desert Fox, Rommel, yeah. And they pushed him out of there into Tunisia, and the 1st Division caught him there, and he run on across to Anzio, and that's where we taken care of him there. Well, now,
Where were you when you got your Purple Heart?
I got my Purple Heart there on the island of Sicily, yeah. And then I got one on Anzio too. And the medal star, the bronze star that I got, that was for the action I took to protect those 50 men that was behind that wall there. I taken those people out so we saved their lives, They could have, they'd have tore us up, for that tank, because we had nothing to stop it. Yeah, by the can opener, where's it at? Right here,
Your ID and then the
This
camera.
this is your ID,
There's a blood type on it too.
So that went with you. I think it's coming here. That went with you forever.
Yeah, I
You
put
didn't dare pull this off.
that's what dog tags around your neck. And this is the can opener we had.
They had J rations in a little can that they had.
That's about all we got on the Anzio,
That's
get a
how you open
little
them.
K ration, little can of cheese.
About
Maybe
like
we'd get one every 2 or 3 days.
About like a tuna fish can.
I went from 160 pounds to 105 while I was there. But I can tell you, my serial number's on there, and look at it, and I'll tell you what it is. And I hadn't looked at it in 30 years. 3817-3278. That's
That is
it.
a memory, honey, baby.
You don't forget that. That right there, I just got through telling you. Well, I'm very, very conscious and very seriously troubled by what's going on. Yeah, I think we're on our way to socialism. I bought me a computer and I'm going to school. All the other parts is wore out, so I'm trying my brain now. I was raised in the country, and you can't take the country out of the boy, but you can take the boy out of the country, yeah. Now the funniest thing I run into in battle was we had taken a bridge on Mussolini Canal. Well, we'd wounded a lot of Germans and killed a lot of them. But we always let them come over and pick up the wounded and the dead and all. And this bridge come across with a cross, medical cross on it, And when it stopped on the end of the bridge, well, the German jumped out there and started firing, And somebody shot this guy, and he fell in my friend from Minnesota's foxhole. Man, he come out of there, and I ain't seen him since.
I guess not.
Never when I got home. After me and her married, well, I decided I'd write to him and see if I could catch up with him, And I wrote to him, and sure enough, we corresponded for some time. And we lost our contact there, and my neighbor went up in Minnesota on a vacation, you know, and he asked me to mow his yard for him, so I said I will, but now I got a friend up there, I want you to look him up if you will. And sure enough, he looked him up.
Found him.
And got his address and gave it to me, and we corresponded for several years after that, but he finally died, you know.
He sent them some pecans one year, and they just thrilled him to death. They don't have pecans in Minnesota. So she sent me a cookbook.
And they don't know how to cook in Minnesota.
And their cooking doesn't match up with mine.
But I made a lot of friends in the Army. I did. But now let me tell you a colorful thing we had. The 45th Division was an old Oklahoma Armor Guard Division company, and about a third of them was Indians. Well, we spent the night at Newport News, Virginia. Well, they built a big bonfire, and they put on, the Indian War Day.
Indian War Dance.
And I mean, that was just like you see in the picture shows, yeah. And they were tough soldiers. Yeah, the Bronze Star. That was a little extra thing that I did on this tank business. The Purple Heart, that's wounded, yeah. And World War II Victory Medal and Combat Infantry Bag. That's a little Combat Infantry thing with a rifle on it there. And
The blue one. The blue one with the rifle on it.
Honorable Service Label button, World War II. A lot of people want all them medals, you know. I call them hubcaps. My neighbor across the street, he got half his wall with them hubcaps on it, you know. Don't mind the hill of beans. Now, I treasure my Purple Heart and my rifle badge and my bronze medal. The rest of it, boo-boo. I could tell you lots of stuff that did happen over there, but it's best I don't tell you everything. Lord had me with a hand, I guarantee you. To love the Lord and stay out of trouble.